At the engagement party my family threw for me and Spencer Ashford, one of the wealthiest business magnates in the country, my mother calmly picked up the microphone in front of all the guests and smiled. My daughter used to sleep with men for money. I stared at her in utter disbelief. Spencer Ashford pulled me behind him at once. Mrs. Whitaker, don't ever make a joke like that again. Later my mother told me with zero remorse, I was just testing whether he truly loved you. The night before the wedding, I took a single bite of the dinner she had made. When I woke up, someone had framed me in bed with my sister's boyfriend. Spencer arrived with the wedding party and saw us. Tears welled in his eyes. So your mother really wasn't lying. Serena slapped her boyfriend through her tears. How could you do this to me? In the end, Serena became Spencer's bride. My sister's boyfriend shredded every piece of clothing that still carried my scent. You're completely shameless. You even had to go after your own sister's boyfriend? I sobbed and looked at my mother. Her expression didn't even flicker. Serena is better suited to be Mrs. Ashford than you are. 20 years later my son, now the young billionaire CEO of Whitaker Group, brought his girlfriend home to meet me. Mother, if you approve of her, we'll get engaged. I stared at that face, one almost identical to Serena's. I don't. My answer landed in the ballroom, and the entire room fell dead silent. The crowd at the reception froze. Serena's daughter, Isla Ashford, an honors graduate from Berklee College of Music. 5'9", around 120 pounds. Her mother was a famous socialite. Her father had once ruled the Ashford business empire. Her grandmother was a renowned philanthropist. Even my son Oliver Whitaker froze. Mother, when I mentioned Isla before, didn't you say you liked her? That was before I met her. The guests immediately broke into hushed whispers. After all, Isla Ashford had inherited Serena's face almost entirely. At Berklee she'd also been the cheer captain. Isla Ashford had never been publicly rejected like this. Her face flushed crimson. Mrs. Whitaker, did I offend you? Or am I dressed inappropriately? Tell me directly. I'll fix it. You don't need to change. I took a sip of coffee. You will never have a place in the Whitaker family trust. Mrs. Whitaker, one of the guests spoke up first. Mrs. Whitaker, maybe you don't know much about Isla's grandmother. She's an internationally known philanthropist. She's helped so many people. That's right. Isla was raised by her personally. Her character is beyond reproach. I almost laughed. So my mother had even gone out of her way to care this much for Serena's daughter. Oliver also looked at me. Mother, did Isla do something wrong? It has nothing to do with whether she did anything wrong. My tone stayed calm and sharp. Isla Ashford panicked. Why? What gives you the right to keep me out of the Whitaker family? What exactly is wrong with me? Tell me and I'll fix it. But you can't just say no. I looked at her. What are you going to do about it? I won't accept this. My eyes narrowed. I am the sole controlling shareholder of Whitaker Group. I choose my own daughter-in-law. Do I owe you an explanation? You. Isla Ashford covered her mouth. Then she spun around and ran out of the ballroom, slamming the heavy door hard behind her. I lowered my head and took another sip of coffee. The reception continued. No one would dare insult me at my own event. I had raised Oliver alone. For 20 years, he had been the one person who never questioned me. Mother, if she offended you before, you don't have to let her get to you. I smiled and didn't answer. But just as the reception was drawing to a close, the doors suddenly swung open. Who is Claire Whitaker? 20 years ago, I'd cut all ties with the Whitaker family. I'd also changed my name to the one I used now. Serena Whitaker didn't look all that different from 20 years ago. Only her waist-length hair had been pinned up. Age had given her a polished calm. The second she saw me, she froze. A few seconds later, she smiled. So you're Oliver's mother. Of all people. I didn't answer. Claire. Mockery crept into Serena Whitaker's eyes. I heard you stayed single all these years and yet you have a child? Serena, did you come here for a reason? Serena finally seemed to remember why she was here. Her gaze toward me turned icy. Isla has been crying non-stop since she got home. Then what? Don't you think you're being completely shameless? I shrugged coolly. Your point. Serena Whitaker glared at me. You couldn't take me down, so now you're taking it out on an innocent girl? I didn't respond. Claire Whitaker. Serena's voice dropped. Don't think that just because Oliver became a rising billionaire CEO, you get to pull all the strings. Don't forget, Spencer used to be a billionaire tycoon too. And Isla's grandmother, my mother, is internationally renowned. I didn't even look at her. And, does your family interfere in other people's family matters now? Serena Whitaker tightened her grip on her handbag. I'm just reminding you not to take it too far. You barged into my reception and demanded I accept your daughter. My expression hardened. So tell me, which one of us is taking it too far? Serena gritted her teeth. In high society, her behavior had always been tolerated. Everyone gave her plenty of leeway because of Spencer and my mother. But that didn't work with me. I gave the security staff a look. Someone immediately stepped forward and seized both of her arms. Claire Whitaker, how dare you treat me like this? Serena Whitaker started to panic. I didn't lift my head. For the first time in her life, Serena Whitaker was dragged out in such an embarrassing way, both arms pinned by security. Claire Whitaker, you've lost your mind. The door slammed shut, cutting off her voice. I dabbed the corner of my mouth with my napkin. Then I stood and gave the guests a slight bow. I apologize for disturbing everyone's evening. I've prepared guest favors for all of you. Please collect them from the estate manager on your way out. I hope the rest of your night is pleasant. After saying that, I turned and left the reception. Oliver followed me out. The next morning, I had just gotten up when someone was waiting outside the front gate, asking to see me. The door opened. Spencer and I met each other's eyes. It had been a full 20 years since the last time we saw each other. I came because of them. Spencer got straight to the point. He glanced around the interior of my estate. His expression turned wistful. You built all of this yourself step by step over the years? My tone was light. Who exactly was supposed to help me? His gaze landed on me. He sighed softly. What happened back then? I was impulsive too. Then who did you come here for, Mr. Ashford? Spencer's breath hitched. The girl who used to cling to his arm and call him her husband-to-be again and again could now throw his words right back in his face without blinking. Spencer sighed again. I admit I've spoiled them too much. You know that both your mother and I have always spoiled them. You were so heartless yesterday that neither of them has been able to eat a proper meal since. Heartless. I set my coffee cup down and stared straight into his eyes. Mr. Ashford, do I no longer have the right to handle my own family matters? That's not what I meant. Spencer paused slightly. It's just that everyone can see it. You're clearly doing this for revenge. I smiled. If you insist on putting it that way, then yes, I admit it. But in the end, aren't you only upset because I didn't marry you back then? Spencer grew anxious. What happened back then can't be undone. If you want revenge, come after me. Don't make things hard for innocent people. Say it. What compensation do you want? As long as you let Isla marry Oliver, I'll give you my entire fortune if that's what it takes. I looked at the man in front of me in surprise. Then I suddenly laughed. Spencer, you're self-made. He paused. Then he sighed and turned his face away. You once swore you'd never let yourself live a hard life again. And now? You don't even care about your fortune or your future. All for them. Spencer sighed. They matter more than wealth does. My smile turned bitter. Once he had said the exact same thing to me. Spencer. In the end, I still had someone escort him out. As he left, he kept looking back. Can we really not talk this over? I wasn't joking about the compensation. Claire, I'm begging you. They're really heartbroken. I looked out the window. Then what about me back then? What about the girl kneeling on the floor, sobbing that she had been framed? But Spencer had barely left before someone else came to see me. The moment the door opened, we both froze slightly. Julian Hayes. The man I had been framed in bed with. Serena's boyfriend at the time. All these years he had always believed I was the one who drugged him back then. And for the past 20 years, just like me, he had never married. I didn't expect you to come too. I spoke first. Julian sat down across from me. His eyes moved over my home unreadable. Then he looked at me. I didn't expect you to still be holding on to this so tightly. Excuse me. Oliver Whitaker. I only found out yesterday that he's your child. I didn't speak. That night? He asked. I knew what he meant. The night my mother framed both of us. I shook my head. He sighed. You don't have to deny it. I understand. I really didn't. He looked at me helplessly. Of course. You've always been good at pretending nothing hurts you. But you should know who I stayed single for all these years. I drank my coffee and said nothing. To be honest, punishing that mother and daughter is a little much. You're interfering with my family affairs too? I shot him a cold look. He sighed. Claire. Strictly speaking, Oliver is my child. So this is my family affair too. I told you he isn't your child. Julian looked at me. Claire, I have eyes. That boy looks like me. I almost laughed. Julian had the rugged kind of good looks. Oliver did too. He has the same rugged look you do, Mr. Hayes. But you're not the only man in the world with that kind of face. Mr. Hayes, you're overthinking this. Julian sighed. Fine. I'll take responsibility. I can marry you. I froze. He looked at me. Claire, if this is what you wanted, I can accept it. We can go get a marriage license right now. What do you say? For a while I was too stunned to speak. I probably still won't be able to love you, but I'll do my best to be a proper husband. I couldn't take it anymore. Show him out. Claire Whitaker. Julian frowned. Do you really have to punish Serena and Isla for this? I stared at him coldly. Show him out. Julian looked as if I were being completely unreasonable. My people escorted him away. I pressed my fingers to my brow. If anyone else comes looking for me, send them away. But the next day, a staff member came to report again. Chairwoman Whitaker. There's a guest outside who insists on seeing you. She says she's your mother. More than 20 years had passed. Yet the way my mother looked at me was still just as cold. After entering, she first looked around my home. Then she gave a humorless laugh. So you nursed this grudge for 20 years. Ms. Whitaker, say what you came to say. My mother looked at me. You waited 20 years for today, didn't you? I frowned. She stepped forward. Claire, you're my daughter. I know you hate me. After saying that, she stood right in front of me. Then she dropped straight to her knees. I stared at her in shock. Mother. If it will make you feel better, I'll beg you for forgiveness. Cece. She looked at me. I still prefer the name I gave you. The hand I had started to reach out froze in midair. Her gaze locked onto mine. What happened back then was my choice alone. I won't regret it. But I will take responsibility. I apologize to you. I looked at her with a bitter smile. For Serena, you're willing to go this far. Yes. I slowly withdrew my hand. Mother, there's one question I've never understood. Can you answer it? What is it? You're an internationally known philanthropist. You've helped so many poor children. My voice trembled slightly. Why were you never willing to treat me right? My mother froze. I looked at her with red eyes. I even secretly did a DNA test. I am your child too, aren't I? My mother lowered her head. Mother, say something. I'm sorry. She looked at me, her gaze unbearably firm. But I don't want Serena to be sad. I laughed. She couldn't bear Serena's sadness, so mine didn't matter? My smile turned mocking. Get up. I won't forgive any of you. Cece. I said nothing. Claire. Her voice was almost pleading. I stood by the window. Show her out. She looked at me with red eyes. Her sorrow gradually turned bitter. Then it became resentment. Even hatred. She slammed the door behind her. I stood by the window and watched her leave. Then I gave my order. Arrange a private matchmaking reception for Oliver. Regardless of family net worth, any woman with a good reputation and an age appropriate for Oliver may attend. Except Isla Ashford. Yes, Chairwoman Whitaker. The private matchmaking reception was arranged quickly. Oliver was impeccably dressed. Do you resent me for arranging something that looks like a matchmaking event? No. Oliver looked at the young women in the room. I've always remembered that you raised me by yourself. I should make some contribution to the Whitaker family too. I smiled. If there's someone you like, it doesn't matter if her net worth isn't impressive. Oliver looked at me. As long as I like her? Yes. Really? Of course. Even if she isn't here today, you can still choose her. In that case. Oliver stood. He lifted his hand. He swung his arm and knocked over the champagne tower, nearly twice as tall as a person. Glasses shattered across the floor. The young women in the room screamed and backed away in panic. The champagne also splashed all over me. I lifted my head. Oliver was gripping the hand of Isla Ashford, who had just come through the door. Sorry, Mother. I know you don't like Isla, but I'm going to marry her. Isla Ashford looked down at me and leaned into Oliver with practiced intimacy. Sorry, Mrs. Whitaker. Looks like your word doesn't count after all. I looked at Isla Ashford's smile. This girl. Even her little look of triumph was exactly the same as her mother's back then. The day Serena put on my wedding gown and married my fiancé. Only now, the man standing beside this girl was my son. For the first time in 20 years, Oliver defied me. He looked at me. Mother, I'm sorry, but I can't help who I love. Looking at my son standing in front of me, I forced down the pain in my chest. Then I stood. Come with me. Alone. Oliver and I talked privately in a room for half an hour. Half an hour later, Oliver spoke with a choked voice. You really went through all that 20 years ago? After telling him about the past, I felt as if all my strength had been drained out of me. I nodded. Then I looked at him. So now you know why I won't allow you to be with Isla Ashford? His eyes were red. He said nothing, but the look in his eyes told me he understood everything. I know it's hard to accept after hearing it for the first time. That's fine. I'll give you time. Think it over carefully. Oliver didn't speak. He only began to sob quietly. I stood and walked out. Suddenly he spoke behind me. Mother, it hurts knowing what you went through. I turned back. My eyes reddened before I could stop them. In 20 years, this was the first time anyone had ever said that to me. Even my own mother had never felt sorry for me. Not even a little. Not long after, Oliver also walked out. Everyone's eyes landed on him. Isla Ashford watched him, hope lighting her face. I looked at him too. I watched as he walked toward me. Isla Ashford's face fell. Oliver Whitaker. Mother. Oliver came to stand in front of me. I finally let out a breath and smiled. But in the next second, that smile froze on my face. He bowed to me. I'm sorry. Oliver. Mother, even if you don't agree, even if those things happened in the past, none of that was Isla's fault. I can't follow you into doing something foolish. After all, your pain is still yours. It doesn't give you the right to punish Isla. I looked at him in disbelief. Oliver turned around. He took Isla Ashford's hand. The way he looked at me carried a new coldness. Mother, I've made my decision. A ripple of shock went through the room. Joy flashed across Isla Ashford's face. She gripped his hand tightly and leaned against him shyly. What if I say that if you two stay together, I'll cut off our mother-son relationship? Then do it. I had imagined Oliver might agree. But I hadn't expected him to answer without the slightest hesitation. The son I had raised on my own for 20 years. In this moment he didn't hesitate at all. My eyes burned instantly. But I smiled. Are you sure? I'm sure. Oliver didn't flinch. Suddenly I realized something. When this child turned cold, he really did resemble my mother. Then we separate our finances, and you give up your claim to the family trust. Fine. Oliver's tone was flat. I'll earn mine. You earn yours. Mr. Whitaker. My staff grew anxious. I lifted a hand and stopped them. In that case, draft the agreement. Let him sign. Oliver froze. But when the trust exclusion agreement was placed in front of him, he still signed it without hesitation. 20 years ago, I had signed an agreement like that with my mother. 20 years later, I signed another one with my son. My smile turned bitter. I took the agreement and stood. Then, congratulations on your marriage. After saying that, I ignored Oliver's gaze. I left the scene without looking back. It was raining outside. My executive assistant wanted to drive me home. I refused. Give me an umbrella. I want to walk alone. Only one other person stood on the rain-soaked path. He stopped in front of me. Claire. Julian Hayes stood beneath the umbrella. Let's talk. Inside the cafe, we sat facing the floor-to-ceiling window. It's been 20 years and neither of us ever married. Julian gave a soft laugh. We've both spent 20 years holding on to things we should have let go. My voice was calm. And the person you couldn't let go of was my sister. He silently admitted it. Then he smiled again. But 20 years have passed. Some things should have ended a long time ago. Claire, let's make a life together. I looked at him in surprise. I didn't understand how he had suddenly led the conversation there. After all, Julian had hated me for 20 years. He had always believed that my supposed trap had made him miss out on Serena. Don't you hate me, Mr. Hayes? 20 years dulls even the strongest feelings. Julian looked at me. And besides, you and I have a son. You've raised him for 20 years. I shouldn't keep being absent as his father, should I? I looked at his smile. Then I suddenly laughed out loud. Mr. Hayes, how many times do I have to say it? Oliver Whitaker is not your son. He froze. But that was the only time we were ever together. Yes. I nodded. But that was 20 years ago. Mr. Hayes, surely you didn't stay celibate for 20 years? Julian's breath caught. His Adam's apple moved. But the child's father abandoned you, didn't he? Not exactly. I looked out at the rain. To be accurate, I abandoned him. My phone buzzed. The number from 20 years ago sent me another message. I'm in Fairwick. Want to have dinner? For 20 years, he had asked me that question about a dozen times a year. I thought for a moment. For the first time I replied, okay. Julian's gaze swept across my phone screen. His breath stopped sharply. It's him. He's Oliver's father? 2 months later I received a message. My mother was ill. She had asked for me by name. When I arrived at the hospital, she was hooked up to tubes and monitors. When she saw me, her eyes grew wet. Her illness had come suddenly. No one knew what would happen next. Aside from the day she gave birth to me, this was probably the second time she had ever held on to me this tightly. I know I wronged you. I gave more of my love to Serena. I looked at her. For a moment I couldn't speak. But Cece, when I was pregnant with Serena, your father brought his mistress into our home and tore everything apart. I had to deal with them and the division of assets at the same time. During that period, both my body and mind were in terrible shape. Serena was affected before she was even born. That was why she was born sick. You know that child has always had fragile health. Every time I saw her sick, it gutted me. I owed Serena so. She choked slightly. I wasn't targeting you on purpose. My eyes reddened. But mother, the person who owed Serena was never me. Why was I the one who had to pay for it? Her body stiffened. The monitors spiked. After a sigh, she closed her eyes and one tear fell. Yes, it was my fault. So can you forgive me? I looked at the hope in her eyes. Then I spoke. I don't forgive you. She froze. I pushed her hand away. I'm sorry, Mother. I really can't forgive you. The monitors spiked faster. The medical staff rushed in. I left the hospital room. Serena Whitaker was waiting anxiously outside. Her eyes were red as Spencer held her in his arms. When she saw me come out, she snapped. What did you say to her? Would it kill you to lie to our mother? I smiled. No. After all, she had grown up loved and spoiled by our mother. I had not. I really couldn't do it. The moment I said I forgave her, it would feel as if I had betrayed the girl I was 20 years ago. The girl kneeling on the floor, crying like her whole world had just shattered. I went home. Graham came to greet me. Dinner was already laid out on the table. He had made it himself. After that dinner with Graham, I agreed to move in with him. 20 years ago, I had dated him for a while. The day I found out I was pregnant, he said he would take responsibility. I only smiled and left without saying goodbye. Later, he found my contact information. Every once in a while, he would send me a message. I thought he simply couldn't get over me. But he kept sending those messages for 20 years. Occasionally, I met him a few times. Every time he was just as warm as before. In the end, I had treated that relationship as something casual. But I had run into a man who took it seriously. Watching Graham's profile as he worked in the kitchen, I felt a little guilty. In the years when I had been betrayed so deeply that I trusted love the least, I happened to meet someone who believed in it. But at the time I didn't know. Julian stayed single for 20 years because of Serena. I stayed single for 20 years because of my career. And somehow, Graham had spent those 20 years waiting for me. Even though he was far more powerful than Oliver and Spencer combined, men like that weren't supposed to exist. I crossed my arms and leaned against the doorway. No matter how hard I thought about it, I couldn't understand where things had gone wrong. What are you staring at now? He carried the last dish out. I smiled. I just think you're incredible. He froze. Then his lips curved. You clearly haven't met enough men. Maybe. Have you thought about who should inherit both of our businesses? He pulled out a chair for me. I sat down. My younger daughter would be a good choice. She's still young, but she has already handled plenty of major matters on her own. One day, she'll be more capable than either of us. I think she's good too. When Caldwell Group and Whitaker Group announced a marriage-backed strategic alliance and named our younger daughter as successor, someone started pounding at my front door early the next morning. Oliver stood there, panting, one hand braced against the door frame. His eyes were red as he looked at me. Mother, what do you mean by this? Since when do you have a younger daughter? And she's only a few years younger than Isla. Is that strange? Graham walked out of the bedroom. He looked down at his eldest son. Your mother and I don't have only one child. What? Oliver looked at Graham Caldwell in disbelief. Then he turned the same stunned look on me. Then, Mother, were you serious about the trust exclusion agreement? Only then did I suddenly realize something. Oliver had been betting on one thing. I only had one son. There would be no one else to inherit. Eventually I would have to take him back. But now not only did I refuse to take him back, I had chosen my daughter as my successor. He gritted his teeth. Mother, back then I lost my mind. Whitaker Group does not accept losing your mind as an excuse. My voice was cold. I taught you from childhood to be careful when making decisions. His eyes reddened. Graham reached out and closed the door. Oliver anxiously tried to stop him and almost got his hand caught. Oliver was going to break off the engagement. Soon everyone in high society knew. The social and business backing that had gathered around Isla Ashford because of the family alliance evaporated overnight. Soon, a couple showed up at my corporate headquarters. Spencer and Serena, sobbing so hard she could barely stand, supported by him. When she saw me, Serena gritted her teeth and threw away her pride. Her knees hit the floor. Claire, I was wrong. Punish me if you want. I'm begging you. Stop targeting my daughter. She was spoiled growing up. She can't handle you coming after her like this. My voice was cold. I've already cut family ties with Oliver Whitaker. If this concerns your daughter, take it up with Oliver Whitaker. But everyone knows Oliver is punishing my daughter just to make you take him back. I frowned. Serena Whitaker crawled closer on her knees. Claire, I'm begging you. You're the only one who can stop your son. You hate me, don't you? I'll apologize to you. Isn't that enough? Serena. Spencer hurriedly held her tight. I looked at Spencer. Take her away. Serena Whitaker cried in his arms as he helped her out of the executive office. A short while later, Spencer came back alone. Claire, He looked uneasy. I only came back to say, I'm sorry. My tone was flat. I continued handling the documents in my hands. He waited for a while, but no other response came. He sighed. Then he looked at me one last time and walked out. My mother was in critical condition again. She started begging me to come see her one last time. I went. She had grown painfully thin, but she still gripped my hand tightly. Cece, can you let Serena go? I was wrong, okay? I hadn't expected that even what might be her final words would still be for Serena. I bent down. No, not only will I not let her go, I'll return everything she did to me back then exactly as it was. And more. Her hand began to tremble. Is there really no way? No. I'm begging you. No. With a sigh, she closed her eyes. 2 tears slid from the corners of her eyes. It's all my fault. If I had treated you better back then, would you not hate us this much now? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I gently tucked her hand back under the blanket. Then I turned and left the hospital room. The moment I walked out of the hospital, Oliver was standing at the entrance. He had always cared about his appearance, but now he had not even shaved. Mother, I broke off the engagement with her. That's your business. He froze. Then he hurried after me. But I really know I was wrong, Mother. Please. I never really meant to cut ties with you. Didn't I tell you from the beginning? I turned back and looked at him. Words once spoken can't be taken back. Didn't I teach you to think before you speak and act? He froze. I looked at him coldly. Actions have consequences. Mother. Don't call me mother anymore. I stopped being your mother a long time ago. Graham's car stopped by the roadside. Oliver looked at him with red eyes. Dad. Can you help me talk to her? Graham smiled. Sorry. In our house, I listened to her. In the car on the way home, I couldn't help teasing him. What about outside the house? I handle the big things. You handle the small things. And deciding what counts as a big thing is a small thing, so you handle that too. I laughed out loud. How did I fall for you back then? Because we were made for each other. Do you know that back then it was exactly the way you talked that made me think you were unreliable? He froze. I looked at him from the passenger seat. So from the beginning, I treated you as a casual fling. Sure. A casual fling. You had your little fling, then left me with the kids as a single father, only showing up a few times a month. You have to admit that was ruthless. Come on. I was raising one child alone in Fairwick too, but I gave all the kids equal attention. Yes, you only ever had eyes for the children. It took you 20 years to remember me. I choked. Fine. I would make it up to him properly from now on. Not long after, Spencer and Serena's names vanished from high society. I said I would pay it all back with interest. On my wedding day with Graham, Julian was there too. Looking at me in my wedding gown, he smiled bitterly. If I'd known, I should have proposed to you 20 years ago. I probably still wouldn't have said yes. He gave a bitter laugh. Then he raised a glass to me. After that, I never heard anything about him again. Nor did I pay attention. After all, I had already endured 20 years. It was time to go home. Good or bad, that was where the past finally ended.
This is Listening Novel. We appreciate you spending your time with us. If you enjoyed today's story, please like and subscribe for more stories and stay tuned for what's next.